What is up, and welcome to the third edition of Deer Camp with the Lindseys. We are live here. I'm in Georgia. I believe Clayton's down home in Florida,
Yes,
and we
sir.
are riding a high right now. I'm not going to lie, it feels good. We have struggled years in the past. Kentucky's kind of bailed me out last 2 years. I didn't kill one in Kentucky this year, but my dad did. And soon as we get to Georgia, back-to-back sits, Saturday night, Sunday night, we kill two slammers with our Matthews, and we're feeling pretty good. So we kind of got to ride this high as long as we can because in the deer hunt world, you get humbled quick. And so I'm like, I'm scared to go hunting anymore. I just don't want to jinx it. So I'm kind of going to lay low until Montana, and hopefully I can carry the luck to elk camp. We're only doing one elk hunt this year. Gave my Colorado elk hunt away, but Montana, I will be there in just a few short days.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's one of those trips you probably wish you were going on, man. It's so beautiful. Southeast Montana. It is a sleeper. It really was a sleeper 5 years ago when we drew it. But now it's not a sleeper as much. It took us 2 years to draw the first time, two or three. This time it was five or six, I think. But it's just a insane part of the world. It's super cool. Everybody thinks Montana, the Rockies, where we're at, Southeast Montana, just outside of Billings, about an hour from Billings. We have whitetail, we have mule deer, we have elk, but some of the biggest elk in the world, some of the biggest elk that I've ever hunted. But it's weird. It's like coal mine country, and you just drive by these fields and you look over there and you sit, it looks like some Star Wars type stuff out in the field, mining coal, doing what they do, modern day mining, and it's just weird. It's like being in another world. It's just kind of there's a lot of parts of it that's extremely beautiful. It's not mountains, very rolling, and um, it looks like where you'd be setting up to kill a deer. But they have elk, and they have really big elk, and we have been looking forward to this trip for so long. One more reason why I'm so happy that Dad has got his shoulder right because he's ready to go now,
Yeah.
or should be.
Well, I tell you what, those rolling hills would be good for you based off what I saw on turkey camp in Kentucky.
Oh yeah. It's not like I watched that. Did you see that reel that Small Town put out? Chris Ashley's like, look, this is how you can do it. I got buddies, I go elk hunting. He says, don't you have to like train for months and all that to be ready to go out there and hit all those altitudes? And he said, look, that's one way to do it. Or you could just go elk hunting, and instead of suffering for 6 months training, you just suffer for 2 weeks and call it good. And I was like, man, I feel that. But I've been walking a lot. I'm breaking in a new pair of boots. I had these Under Armour BOA boots, the kind you like s-
Yep.
turn that little thing, screw them on tight, and they were fat tire. And I bought these things because they were super wide. I had a planter award. I've never had one of those. Hadn't had one since, but I had one like 6 years ago. Last time we went in Montana, so I had to get these boots where it didn't press on the side of my foot like a lace up. And those boots have been all over the world with me, all over the country, and have been so good. But one of the BOA broke that snapped off, and I'm sure there's probably a way somebody that could fix it, but it was time. I threw them away in the trash can today, but I got me some new got me some Hoka. I don't know if you've seen those Hoka boots, but
Yep.
they're waterproof, and I love my Hoka sneakers, so I'm gonna give them a go. I got a backup pair too, but I just can't wear those rigid, mountain boots like a lot of people can. I just, man, I'm built for comfort, not necessarily if my feet get wet, I can deal with that, but I want them to be comfortable.
Yeah, especially on a hunt like that, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, you walk a lot out there, but it's not crazy. It's not like other places out west I've hunted. But one thing I did want to touch on, before we got too deep into it was, the events that happened last week were, crazy. A lot of evil in this world. Charlie getting assassinated, and that was a where were you moment for everybody. Uh, and it probably will. You'll take it to your grave, but it happened while we were doing this podcast, and we don't do extremely long podcasts. That's just not our thing. We don't have time for, and we can't talk that long. We're not that good. But as soon as I got off, Cole's pacing around in front of us for about 5 minutes. We were in Kentucky, and he's like, "Yeah, I knew something wasn't right, but sitting there talking to you, I couldn't say much." And his eyes are swelled up. He's like, man, Charlie Kirk's been shot. He's dead. And I was like, dead. And this was before, they were rushing him to the hospital and all that. So, well, never mind. I got some bad info, but nonetheless, our thoughts and prayers are, with the Kirk family and Erica and the kids and all that. That's a bad deal. I wasn't a huge follower of Charlie, but I seen him a ton on social media. I love what he stood for. He was a modern day martyr, Christian martyr, and I hate that, but I'll take that to my grave. What were you doing when that happened, man? I was recording a podcast, so I didn't want to kind of just glaze over that because it's a pretty big deal to me, and for what we believe in. So, rip Charlie, and I hope some good will come of it, and a lot more Charlie Kirks will have be born and start from that day, or come out of that day, I should say. So. But respect to him. Moving on. Uh, no luck for you in Kentucky. You were pretty much done when we talked last week.
Yeah, I only went for 3 days. I'm going again this weekend for 3 days. Graham,
Oh, are you? Well, the forecast looks so great. You got this giant cold front coming in. It looks so good. Not. Looks terrible, man.
I know, dude. It's gonna be like 90. I just want rain for my food plots at this point.
No, I thought I'm in Georgia right now, and Cole was hunting tonight, and I was like, "Dude, it's getting dark here." And he's like, "What?" He knew I had my eyes dilated. It wasn't getting dark down at the farm, and he's like, "What do you mean, man? You like passing out or something?" I'm like, "No, it's getting dark. It's about to rain." It did not rain, unfortunately, and it is so dry here, man. It's so dry. Kentucky, where we just came from, they were singing the blues. Illinois is drier than anywhere. They have had 4/10 of one rain of 4/10 since the end of July. And we cut our corn, or we didn't. Farmer cut the corn this weekend. And I'm usually I'm leaving 6 or 8 spots, quarter acre here, half acre here. Maybe my biggest spot's an acre, acre and a half. But I was very adamant this year. I was like, man, I was sending him maps and everything. I was like, make sure we leave this corn, because honestly, that may be all I have to hunt. We do have some standing beans, and we do have a lot of clover fields, thank God. But our green plots are, I mean, I, I don't want to say they're not going to make it, but it's been over a month now. Yeah, they're not going to make it. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, that's a
I'm
long
not in
time.
your shape. And the picture you sent me today, I would kill for pictures of somebody send me this is what my plots are looking like in Illinois, because they're not. I was decent. Dave planted earlier than we ever have, 1st of August. And he did that because he saw rain coming. He like dropped what he's doing, and he went and overseeded a lot of plots. Didn't even cold to pack them in. He knew the rain would do that. Got extremely lucky. So we got green plots in Iowa. But man, it just feels like the last, what, 4 or 5 years, it's just this August drought that we've been in. And that's pretty typical. It's summer. But man, we got so much rain this year, just spring and early summer. I mean, if you got your corn in early, I don't care if you're in the South, clover fields look good. And then August, everything just started drying up and got tough right about the time you plant food plots. So me and my dad kind of have this thing, like, and I think I've told you this, that if we had a decent clover field, we take it out and put deer radishes in. We love deer radishes as much, but because we're in this drought, I don't care how much rain's coming. If we got a good clover field, and it's like we're gonna ride it out, we're not gonna disc it up and or till it up, spray it or anything. We're gonna roll with that, and maybe deal with it down the road when it's not so good. But gosh, man, just
Yeah.
a very weird drought we're in right now.
Well, I mean, Kentucky, you talk about planting corn early. Heck, most of the farmers where we're at in Kentucky couldn't plant until so late because of all the
Yeah,
rain,
because it's so
flood, and
wet.
everything. Yeah, and then
Absolutely.
it's still dry as a bone. We got lucky. I pretty much had like a month in advance, had to pick a set of dates to go plant. I got lucky 3 days later. We had like an inch of rain over the course of 3 days.
Well, you drilled all your plots too, didn't you?
Yeah, and that's been a big advantage so
We
far.
we drilled some of ours in Iowa, but with the old Casco, but we didn't in Illinois. We had them. We dissed them up and used the Casco cultipacker to prepare the seed bed, and cover it up, but and we had rain coming. We made what we thought was the wise decision to do that, and it didn't get it. But the good thing is in Illinois, there's still time. In Iowa, maybe you could go drill some radishes or winter bulbs, but it,
I don't.
not very good.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people forget though is if you have trouble and you're struggling with your food plots right now because of drought
Yeah,
conditions, you can go in and put winter wheat and oats into the middle of October.
right.
You might not necessarily get to hunt a great plot, but you'll at least have a green food source for your deer in the winter if
Yeah.
it's a hard winter.
Or if you got access to a drill and you've already worked up your plot, or it's still bare ground, there's still a chance. Maybe the seed, like in Illinois, we haven't had enough rain to even germinate the seed. I've never had to go this long without it germinating. So, like I said, I have zero faith that it's going to come up, but still, I can't go in there and disc it up and redo it. We're just going to go in there. We're going to drill either, the Green Patch Plus that Mossy Oak makes or Biologic makes. It's great for the South. It's great for what I kind of call our Midwest emergency plot. You can go in there, throw it in the drill. It's got some cereal grains and it's going to come up. You'll have something green to hunt.
Yeah.
There's at least a small chance that a deer would, come out there and eat. But that being said, I'm counting on a rain at some point. I mean, I think it has to
Hopefully.
rain at some point, right?
I I guess I was talking to Jay, my buddy, earlier today, and next week I think in Kentucky there's like 4 or 5 days in a row where it's a 25% chance of rain. I said, Jay, look, if you add it up, that means there's a 125% chance
Yeah.
we'll get rain at least one day. He's like, I don't think that's how it works, but I'm
Uh,
in. I said, one can hope at this point.
well, summertime you'll get a little shower typically. You get a little something blow in and evening thunderstorms, but we're past that. Those seem to happen July,
Yeah.
August. We got nothing, man. I get depressed when I'm thinking about a little bit because I'm trying to plan out when I'm going to go hunt October or Illinois in October. We usually go up there for a week at some point, but in my mind, I'm like, well, if I go up there, I'm hunting grain. So the earlier I go, they're not really on the grain, but I'm going to hunt grain. And I just looked at the 10-day forecast and which, I'm not hunting Iowa, Illinois until October anyhow, but it was still in the 80s, I think on the 86, 88 on the September 30th, what I looked at. And I mean, it's just, and no rain in that 10-day
Yeah.
forecast either, none in Georgia. And we had so much rain in Georgia, man. It was just our pastures are pretty good for the most part. The corn we planted earlier, our sunflower field was great, but our fall plots, we kind of had a plan that we had this date circled on the calendar. Me and Cole was talking about it, that we were going to disc up all of our plots in Georgia. And we don't plant a ton. We may, we got a bunch of fields, a bunch of kill plots, a couple of destination fields, but we have a lot of clover now because of we just got tired of gambling on these September, October rains. But we don't plant in Georgia until after September 15th, anyhow. Our Iowa and Illinois plots have been in a month. So we were saying, hey, we're going to disc up this week. Going to take about 2 or 3 days to get it all disced up. And we were going to be ready to plant when we got back from Montana. But with no rain, ground so dry, if we disc it up, it's just going to get even more dry and it's going to be impossible to get in, down into those weeds, even though they're sprayed with it being so dry. We'd have to disc it 3 or 4 times. So we're waiting on a rain. So we're kind of in purgatory on our Georgia food plots. But maybe when we get back from Montana, we'll have a little bit of time before, Cole and I head to Iowa to begin the opener, which that sounds like you're going to be able to come up with us and
Yeah.
experience it. It won't be your first time in Iowa, but it'll be one of those days. You'll get to see it in the fall with leaves on the trees.
Well, we might have something fun going on that weekend.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Got a little something planned. Y'all stay tuned. It's going to be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first. We can't tell you what it is, but you heard it here.
Yeah. First weekend in Iowa, or first weekend in October in Iowa. How about that?
Say hopefully we'll get another rain between now and then. We'll have a food plot to sit on. If not, we're going to be staying in beans and clover fields, which I'm cool with. And like I told you earlier. before we got on here, I'm not dialed in on a buck I'm gonna hunt yet. In
Yeah.
Illinois, I got one figured out. Georgia, I got one tag left. I know I'm gonna put it on. I would love to put it on one of three deer, three or four deer. But Iowa, I don't know. I've kind of been like that last few years.
There's no 200s. I
Nah,
mean,
I
you know, I'm
wish,
not
man.
allowed to film with you again based on the one time we filmed
Yeah,
together
yeah. Well,
last year
maybe
in
that's
Illinois.
what needs to happen. You need to come film. Yeah, me and you have hunted a total of what, 3 hours and shot
If if that.
a, a 200 incher in Illinois. So yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Have you guys ever killed a giant early? That early?
Yeah, my dad shot. I'm trying to think. He shot a deer, 187, 188, that October 7th, 13th, sometime in there. What was that deer's name? We were just talking about it a couple days ago. Yes, I shot my biggest bow buck ever, a 194. Well, not my biggest bow buck ever. My second biggest bow buck ever. At the time, he was back in '08, a 194. I shot him October 7th, October 8th. Giant deer called Bone Crusher. Still probably my best hunt ever. But I don't know, man. As the years go on, I'm just not an early season guy in Iowa. Uh,
Yeah.
Mainly because I got this year, obviously, once I move back, I'm lucky if I get one tag a year. And by having the one tag, I I want to hunt November, and so unless a giant is coming out on me in October, I am not ending my season. I know that's not the smartest thing, and it's definitely
I'm
not
in the
smart
same
when people
boat.
like, yeah, being a 1 buck state, but it's like, yeah, yeah. I mean, are you filming or are you just window shopping, And so,
Yeah.
but Cole, he gets it. He doesn't ever try to pressure me into shooting deer or anything like that. He did kind of pressure me a little bit Saturday night. I'll get into that in a minute about our that Georgia buck I was after,
Yeah.
but
I will say this, with as dry as it's been, you're talking about hunting early October big deer. Clover pot plots can still be a great pull for them, but you guys hear everyone complaining about droughts and fall food plots. Every time you hear that, I want you to think, huh, that's a good reminder to be real careful about mowing my clover
having it
in
maintained,
end of
yes.
July or August, because we had a clover field with a big deer coming in on our farm, and it got mowed, and that
You
field
didn't disc it up though,
shut
did you?
off. Nope. I drilled more clover and alfalfa seed in it, but it's dry as a bone. It got mowed and it got dried up so quick. I mean, it just shut down.
Well, my dad killed his buck in Kentucky. It was over a clover. It was in a clover field. And I shot my deer Saturday night in a clover field. Sunday night, Dad shot his buck in an alfalfa field. Um, so, I'm always going to tell people, if they got one thing to plant, I'm going to say Clover Plus if you're in the South, non-typical clover if you're in the Midwest by biologic. That is our go-to clovers. It's proven and it's year-round nutrition. The amount of forage you get off of clover is incredible. And even on dry years, even now, as dry as it is in Georgia, our clover still looks decent. In the shady and around the edges, it looks really good. Usually that's what's kind of hurting where it's close to the roots, but it looks pretty good. And the deer are hammering it,
Yep,
among other things.
and don't be afraid of a trashy food plot. It doesn't have to look perfectly manicured. Sometimes those forbs and stuff that grow in it give it shade in the middle, out in the middle of nowhere in that field, and help
Yes,
keep those
I've
plants
had that
surviving
happen
through a
more
drought.
times than not. Yeah, sometimes you look at it and you're like, wow, plot's weedy. Well, those weeds help, like you said, help bring a lot of shade, especially in these drier months.
Yeah, I think that's an underrated thing a lot of people don't think about.
I agree. I
So,
agree. And, I love a beautiful clover field. It's a lot easier in Iowa and Illinois to have a beautiful clover field. It seems like there's not as many weeds as it is down here. And that we got a couple things down here that we can't get rid of. But, I don't mind spraying cleth on our clover fields. And used to it was post, now it's cleth. But anything kind of past that, or just, I don't like setting it back
yep,
that much more because some of these other little, what is that stuff we're dealing with now? Sedge. We can't get killed. I think that's what it's called. They were dealing with it in Kentucky too, so that's why I'm fresh on my brain.
Yeah. Well, speaking of fresh on your brain, how about that buck in Georgia, buddy?
I needed that, dude. I needed that. I hunted in Kentucky 5 days. What did we talk last Wednesday? We talked, and um, I was on a good deer, and I was after this deer called Enos, which I had seen him 2 years prior, just a massive 8 point. And every year I was like, gosh, man, this deer, he looks good. But it was like, one more year. And I agreed. He did need one more year. And so we think he's 5 or 6 now, and big, massive buck. But this year his frame blew up, but he's only a 7 point, but it's still a giant 7 point. I'd shot the fool out of him. But I was after him and another deer. The first night didn't see him. David kills first night. Second night I don't see him. Third night I finally see a mature buck, and that's the night um, that Charlie had got assassinated, and I don't know, man. I felt like I was just going through the motions. We were in a redneck blind that night, and I was hunting another deer, a 10 point. We didn't see him. There was this other deer they're sending me pictures of, or that was in the same pictures. I'm like, man, that deer is mature. And he's like a 18, 19 inch wide 8 point or 7 point, but he had a short G and a short G4. So he was a 9 pointer, but really he only had just the 7 point frame, just a short G3 and G4. And I mean, any other time I would have shot him like crazy. And he comes in, you know, bounces the other side of the field, comes back in. I'm like, Cole, man, it's late. I just don't feel right. I just don't. I never even picked up my bow. The next night we went to the spot where they had I think they said lean forward 8 was his name, a big buck. I'm gonna get you that footage where you can show it right here, but a giant 8 pointer, probably pushing 140, huge body, comes in. I got greedy. And one thing about Kentucky that I have learned, especially this year, they had good wins the first night. My dad shot his buck. They had good win opening weekend. That's when all those big ones got killed. But in Kentucky, where we hunt those draws, I mean, the word holler, was invented right there. I feel like in northern Kentucky,
100%.
and those and it's that 2, 3, 4 mile an hour wind in the evening time, it's just getting sucked like a vacuum down into these hollers. And it busted us on the second night when we sat in the woods, but that fourth night, and so we're in this disced up field that had rained one time since they planted it, 3 weeks ago, and there's no food there. We'd thrown out some big tine. There's a big bean and field and an alfalfa field to our left. So those deer come out. We're just trying to stop them before they go into that field. And so the lean forward 8 comes out early, like 6:30, the earliest we'd seen a big buck all week. And he was 25, 30 yards. And, I don't mind a 25, 30 yard shot, but I figured he was going this way and I was going to have a 15 or 20 yard shot. So the I'm always going to try to be a little more patient and wait on that shot. Well, he feeds over on this side and towards the little edge of the draw, knows something ain't right, and he didn't know where it came from, but he knew it wasn't right. So he runs to the other end of the field, 50 yards away. I probably could have whacked him then, but I'm like, no. And he just stays on the edge of the field for probably 10, 15 minutes, forever. Ends up going in the woods, and I'm like, he'll be back out. And then a doe come in, starts blowing. That seemed like the theme for me in Kentucky. Was me and Cole, we got blown out almost every night, and it wasn't because the deer was looking at us and all. It's just they knew something wasn't right, or they kind of caught our wind a little bit. And then another buck comes out, this massive 7 point deer, and super massive, had kickers on his bases. I mean, just a perfect Jeff deer. That's the kind of deer I want to kill. It was the fourth night. That's usually when I had seen enough. I'm ready to put an arrow in one, but he come up there, same thing. I got greedy. And like I told Kit Cole, I said, I just don't think I had to kill him. After that point, after the big one leaned forward, getting away, I was wanting him to come back, and I should have shot this old deer. And he does the same thing. He knows something ain't right, runs off. Me and Cole were kind of, back and forth. He couldn't see him, then I couldn't shoot, and pretty depressing. So the last night we go out and we're 4 nights as I thought all we were going to hunt, because I had to be back Saturday morning for not only our opening day of deer season, but Cash had a shotgun tournament. He shoots sporting clays, whatever you call it. And we said we're gonna hunt one more night, and said we may even drive back after we hunt. And we did that. Turns out to be a wise move. But the last night, Enos, the deer I was hunting the first night, I went in there hunting a buck that had came out the night before, the fourth night when I was in that backfield with all the that didn't have any grass in it, and this deer called a 9 pointer or the split 2-9. I forget what they had him named, but he was in that field 30 minutes before dark. I said, well, I'll go shoot him. That was kind of the buck I was hunting the first night. And he didn't show up, but Enos came out an hour before dark, was on the other side of the field, fed into the beans, fed by another redneck, just a giant framed 7 point. I would love to kill that deer. And, uh, maybe he lives. If he does, I'll have a bone to pick with him next year if I get back up there with those boys. But a great time in Kentucky, but it wasn't in the cards for me. I'd rather my dad kill a buck than me. Anyhow, he'd never shot a Kentucky buck, so that worked out, and we made it back at like 7 o'clock. 'Cause it was getting daylight the next morning in Georgia, and made it to Cache's shoot, and I'd gotten like an hour of sleep. I dozed off when my dad was driving. He drove the whole way. And so me and Cole were texting back and forth that day. I figured Cole would sleep the whole day, but he didn't. And he's like, man, I feel like when that's Cole. You've been around Cole, you know that joker sleeps, or you've been around a Karcher. Him and his brother, them boys can sleep. So he was like, man, I think we need to go to the bottom. And he's like, I feel like that's our best chance. It's what we call a 7 layer bottom. And Cole's usually not, too adamant about where to hunt, but we knew that our camera had died 3 days ago in that food plot. But it's a beautiful clover field down in the bottom by this lake. We had a east wind, which our farm gets a lot of east winds early season, but our farm doesn't lay out in the evenings for an east wind. The morning is perfect, but this particular spot, he'd put a ground blind in, and we never really hunt out of a ground blind. But we went through this rhino blind in, and he had brushed it in with dog fennel pretty good. And I feel like in the Midwest, 1 or 2 days, deer used to it, whatever. It's ground blind. Was that a hay bale? Who knows? Georgia, like 1 or 2 months is what you need for them to really get used to it. So the does come out, and when Cash is with me, the first afternoon, Cash is with me. He's still yet to kill a deer with his bow. He's 11, and he shot over one last year in our backyard here. And the deer start coming out, doe comes all, but we had a strict rule, 15 yards. That's all he had been really shooting. Uh, he can shoot a lot further than that, but we said unless the deer's 15 yards, it's not going to happen. And so the doe was at 21 yards. Let me shoot it. Let me shoot it. I was like, no, son, we're not doing it. Finally, it gets up to like 17, 18. I'm like, okay. And he's got, you know, 22-inch draw. His bow's barely the legal minimum. And I said, all right. And so he put his arrow like out the blind. He gets in the front of the blind and draws. And I'm kind of letting him just do it like, hey, you're gonna
Learn.
learn the same way I did,
Yep.
and so he went hunting by himself this afternoon just to and you know I would love to be there and experience that first one, but I'm like, yeah, yeah, I shot my first one by myself. Let him do it. I don't care. It's not like we have to have everything on video. But so he drew back the doe, seen the arrow probably wiggling out of the blind, and took off, and he's just kind of depressed, and like, man, it's part of it. And so she didn't even go far. She just knew something wasn't right. And so not long after that, Cole's like, he's here. This 10 pointer we're after. He had this giant G1, this big bladed G1 on his right side, and had a kicker uh, off his base there. So, but he was kind of lopsided. He's just kind of a different looking deer, very recognizable, but a big Georgia deer. And I haven't even scored him. I'm guessing he's probably pushing 140 as a 10 pointer with that kicker. But took him straight to the deer cooler that night. But he comes out, and I'm like, man, Cole, that's a big body deer. And some deer just look big body, but they're not really that big. They're shorter deer. But this deer to me looked long. I was like, that's a big body deer. Of course he's mature. He almost had like this dewlap under his throat there. And our deer in Georgia, they peak so much earlier than they do in Iowa compared on the age from what we've seen. But he meanders his way all the way up and is like, he's coming, he's coming. He come all the way in there. And Cash is like, let me try. I'm like, bud, he's 20 something yards. And I, and it just, I'm like, no. don't use those words, just let me try. Unless you know for sure you can get a lethal shot on a deer. I don't care if it's buck, doe, whatever you're shooting, spike, you're not shooting it. And so that was hard. I kind of felt like the bad guy because I was like, if he don't come in though, guess what? Dad's shooting, and then Cole's over there. He's like, do not let this deer get away. Do not let this, because I don't even mean I didn't even kill a Georgia deer last year. I don't even know. I killed one buck 2 years ago. I self-filmed that, and I don't even think Cole has filmed me shoot a Georgia buck as much as we've hunted together. And then when you get a mature buck in front of you with a bow, you cannot let that just dissipate because you just don't get that many opportunities. It just doesn't happen. And so I don't want to say me and Cash were arguing, but it's like you're not shooting him that far. Give him a little second. It's starting to get dark. Well, he feeds off. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm mad. At that point, I was like, son. He's like, I told you to shoot. I'm like, no, you didn't tell me to shoot. I don't feel like I'm arguing with 11-year-old, but it's like we had a deal. We had a deal. We know what your bow's capable of, and actually, I got him another bow coming. The new, I think it's the Switch from Mission, which he can we can crank it down and get a little more poundage out of it. But so we had a plan, and you have to stick to your plan just for, ethics and teaching lessons and all that, So there's a lot going on. I wish there was a book, you could read about raising a kid to hunt and, exactly what to do in all these situations. But Cash is, he's my son, so I can brag on him. But he's like this little prodigy. He loves to hunt. He's killed, I don't know, 50 something deer already. So it's a different level with him. But I don't want to feel like I'm punishing him, but I also want him to earn it, just like we all did, and he has to make
Yep.
mistakes along the way. And so I said, that deer comes back in, I'm killing him. And at this point, it's getting pretty dark. And so finally, about 10 minutes of shooting light left, he walks over there, gives me a pretty good shot, and it's fairly dark. I didn't wear my contact that night. I've been wearing it all in Kentucky. Hadn't worn it in a year. I'm back on the contact train because I'm getting older. Sucks, but I drew, put it around his shoulder. I think he was 21, 22 yards, and he was quartering to me a little more than I thought. And wham, I shoot him. Bam, Cole's like, you got him, you got him, or you smoked him or whatever he said. And I'm shooting my buddy Glenn in Kentucky had give me this like rainbow looking lighted knock type deal. I don't know, it was all kind of colors and it's going off and went through him and boom, the arrow didn't come out. And he takes off running. Cole's like, I heard him crash. So he thought. Um, it was not quite a crash. He just ran through the privet hedge and all that. So we go busting through the well, we gave him some time. I knew it was a deadly shot. I knew he was dead before we got out of the blind, and Cash he was fine, but I was definitely, it was kind of a little different vibe because I wasn't like super excited because I really wanted Cash to shoot him, but he didn't come in close enough. And like I said earlier, we had our rules there, and so we go start looking for him. And Cash he's all about a blood trail, so he's following it. He's picking the blood up. The deer's not bleeding a ton, which I'm a little surprised. I hit him with that 3-inch whacker. Usually it's a red carpet treatment. And he is going through some very thick spots, some tight spots. Early season, it's always a little tougher for me to see the blood just because there's so many leaves that are red and or got the little red pieces in them, and grass has got looks like blood everywhere. And finally, we keep tracking, 175 yards in a straight line. So he is where he went, on our Onyx. So he was probably 225. That's how far he ran, which is that was toting it a pretty good way. We get over to him. I'm like, good Lord, man, this deer is a pretty big body deer, for Georgia. And we were we were pumped, taking pics, all that. Cash can't touch the deer. He won't get in there for pics. He of all things, he's a Lindsey that is allergic to deer dander. So I'm hoping he's going to grow out of it. But man, if he touches a deer before a frost or before a late season coat, and he just loses it, we got to go get him Benadryl. He's got to get in the bath and a cold bath. It's a bad deal. Probably need to carry an EpiPen to be honest, but. So we start dragging him out, and usually we have my dad there. He's almost on 90% of the blood trails if he's on the hunt with us, and he's is smarter than I am, and he will go. figure out which way we need to drag it. Now,
I'm gonna
me and
tell him you
Cole,
said that, by the way.
yeah, yeah, he is. Me and Cole, being a little younger and dumber, we picked him up and we start dragging. We leave all our camera stuff, lights on, the bow and everything. We knew we had a ways to go, and we're down what we call Middle Lake, down below Middle Lake. It's off this dam, and it's super thick down there. And because it's a big ditch, there's just every 10, 20 foot, it's like another ditch, another little creek channel or whatever where it washes over the years. So we start dragging the deer up. We go down. We got to go this way. Super thick stuff, vines, and Cole was getting hot. I'm getting hot, and I'm like, gosh, I'm like, dude, this buck's well over 200 pounds. Cole's like, man, you think? I don't know. And we're able to feed there year round, and we got a pretty good protein program. With a Big Time Protein Plus that we crank on them from January to you know August, September, and the body weights on some of those deer are pretty impressive for the South. Some of them, not so much, just, different strains of deer. But we're dragging him up, and it's super hot. I don't know how hot it was, but it was right at 90, 88, 90 degrees that day. And, humid at night. It's just super hot. You got knowing I'm fresh off my tick and chigger episode in Kentucky, knowing I have them all over me. We're dragging through thick stuff, and next thing I know, Cole, oh, stop. Ugh," and he starts dry heaving, hurling. And I was like, man, what's going on? I was like, is this like when I'm, used to work out really hard or just play basketball hard for 4 hours? And yeah, man, I'll be fine. If I just throw up, I'll be fine. So I said, let me go get the truck. Cash, you stay with him. The truck was a long ways away. I parked in the wrong spot, really. I should have got closer. I went and got the truck, come back. He's drenched in sweat. It's thrown up, he says, 10 times. He's thrown up 10 times, and I'm starting to feel bad. But the problem is, we still have got to go up this super steep incline, and Cash can't help at all. Even if he wasn't allergic to deer dander, he can't drag this deer, and probably should have gutted him or packed him out. That was one of those type scenarios. And we take off, and we's like, man, right here, we got to go up this hill. So we took off up that hill with him, kept changing, and finally it was so thick and so tight that I was grabbing the back legs, he was grabbing the front legs, and on the incline, he'd pull, we'd like one, two, three, he'd pull, I'd lift up, and just did the best we can. We get him up to the lake dam, and he says, I got to go back in here and get my camera stuff. So he goes a little different way, kind of between where we drug him out and where the deer ran. Goes down there. He's back in 5 minutes. He's like, yeah, if we would have came through there, it was pretty flat. It wouldn't have been no problem. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I mean, I am soaked to my underwear, soaking wet. Just typical early season stuff. Thankfully, I didn't get any chiggers really to speak of that night, but we got pics of him. Had to call my buddy at the deer cooler and say, hey man, will you wait up for me? Because it got pretty late that night. Thankfully, it wasn't a school night because I had cash. But at 10:30, we're rolling into the deer cooler, 10:45, whatever time it was. But it was an adventure to say the least, but it's a big 10 pointer. And I was like, man, this is a good week. I wish I'd have got one Kentucky. I didn't, but I got this buck and was pumped about it. And then the next day, uh, I told my dad, I was like, I'm not going. Go hunt with Cole. Cole's typically my cameraman, but if I'm not hunting, and I'm like, go hunt with him. And so they went down there to an alfalfa field. They were after one of three deer, really after this big fat 8 pointer, which Cole went and hunted tonight. He went self film trying to kill him. Did not see him. Didn't see a deer over a year and a half. But that 8 point did come out, but another nine came out, and Dave shoots it, hits it a little low. But we didn't. It was one of those deals. It's a Sunday night. I didn't. I'm trying to get kids ready for bed. And I was like, man, Cole's like, I think we need to leave him till in the morning. I'm like, well, I'm fine with that. I'll it works for me. I'll just come down there after I drop the kids off for school. And we just didn't know how much he had gotten to the cavity, or obviously it looked like it was below the heart, in front of the heart. Couldn't tell 100% from the footage. So the next morning, I had my buddy Justin. I said, he's got a great dog, a lab, a chocolate lab that's, I think he said, it's picked up over 700 deer. And I said, just
Ooh.
kind of be on standby. Yeah. I mean, it's dude's bad at the bone. I said, kind of be on standby. When that deer ran off, they seen him lay down because he pretty much broke his right shoulder. And I said, let's see what's going on. He may just be laid right inside the woods. I don't think he's going too far, because it was weird because the deer was kind of walking with a limp like his left shoulder was messed up, wouldn't put no weight on it. So then Dave takes out his back shoulder. So I'm like, we're gonna walk down there and the deer's gonna be bouncing around like a kangaroo if we hadn't hit no vitals, we might have to shoot him again. We get into the woods, can't find him, and I'm very adamant about if I know I got a dog coming, I'm not messing. I don't want to mess up no scent. So I said, Dad, I text Justin. I was like, man, come on. So we got down there, started looking at 8:30. Justin probably didn't get there till about 10:15 or so, 10:30. I don't remember now, but put the dog out. We're sitting there kind of shooting the breeze. He's like, look at him. He's got something right there. And once he said he got something, maybe 3, 4 minutes later, boom, he lets out the bark. He's got him over there located and dead deer. It worked out pretty good. And that was a super tough drag too, through a lot of thick stuff. But uh, his deer could have been, I think he was, according to his teeth, was older than mine, but his body weight wasn't as big as mine. Mine was actually 235. I didn't tell you that a while ago, but a pretty big Georgia deer. But Dave's was probably, I don't know. We didn't weigh him, but pushing 200, but a heck of a 9 point. And it don't think that's ever happened to us. Don't think we've ever shot two bucks back to back nights like that in Georgia. Definitely not early season. And Georgia season been open 2 days, and we got two deer on the ground, not counting Kentucky. So pretty dang good feeling.
So where did David actually hit that deer at when you field dressed him? What did he hit an artery? Did he hit a
No, yeah, he
organ?
just hit his just barely bottom of the cavity and kind of just bled out. But it was one of those deals where, yeah, with the dog we probably would have still found him, but because he hit him so low, um, and or messed up that right shoulder, he really just took out the deer's running gear. I mean, you can see that
Oh
on footage
yeah,
of
he
him
already
just
had that
plowing
broken
through the
leg on
field.
the other side, so he
Yeah,
just,
did I
I
send you
mean,
that where he shot him and he's just kind of plowing through that alfalfa
yeah,
field,
Cole sent it to me that
just
night.
pushing his back leg? So we were worried that he didn't get any vitals, but yeah, he got just enough. So thank God it worked out. But he was pumped. So Dave has hunted 2 days. Well, he hunted some does in Kentucky, but he hunted first night in Kentucky kills. His first night in Georgia, he didn't hunt opening night. First night in Georgia, he kills. So he's like, I'm just gonna hunt one day when we go to Montana, boys. Call it good. So
Yeah,
and he's shooting his bow more, so he's ready to go. He's pumped up, so I'm happy for him, and he deserved that, man. After dealing with this shoulder pain and all that, he got him a cortisone shot in his toe today. I'm sure he's told you about all the pain he's dealing with his toe, but
he's doing
um,
better than Joe Burrow.
yeah, turf toe, man. He's out what, 4 months, three
Pretty
months,
much
four
done for.
months.
He might as well just say he's done for the season.
Yeah, see, we got old Kirk Cousins, Cole's cash. He could. Y'all need him, dude. We're not going to use him. Maybe a couple first rounders for him.
I take him. Kirk's a good guy.
I love Kirk, dude. That's one of my favorite football players ever. But I think Father Time's caught up with him, so
Yeah.
he's
Oh
dealing with
yeah.
that.
Father Time has not caught up with David in his hunting career yet, though, because he's
Heck no,
smoking them,
dude.
buddy.
He'd shoot me if I knew I was telling it, but he turned 70 in 2 weeks. But he don't look it or act it. So heck, I guess will we be in, yeah, we'll be in Montana or
What
close
day's his
to it when
birthday?
he's the 28th. So I need to make sure, we'll be back. We'll be back then, I think. I don't know, man. All I know is I follow that calendar on my phone, but sometimes I don't pay attention to dates. I'm more pay attention to what day of the week it is.
I'm lucky if
But
I
yeah,
know either.
yeah, he's ready to go, man. He's ready to go. We're ready to go. And I guess when we talk next week, I'll probably be in Montana.
Yeah.
Hopefully got a
So,
pretty good Wi-Fi connection.
so what's your forecast for Montana? Do you know where? Have you talked to who you're hunting
Yeah,
with? What the
yeah,
elk are doing?
man. Yeah, we're hunting out there with Trophies West, some good dudes. We'll be the only two guys in camp, because it's so hard to draw. It's like a one or two guy max in camp every week. And we stayed there last time as awesome place right on the interstate there, and big house with all these rooms, and just like me in one room, dad and camera guys all got their own room. It's pretty nice. And um the weather looks decent. It's so hard, it seems like that western weather's a lot tougher to predict. And, looking at a 10-day forecast in Georgia, things change. I mean, last time we were there, we were into September, 1st of October, and it snowed on us. So it's a different deal.
Wow.
And, I know not a lot of people probably listening to this are, big time elk hunters, but man, that's out west in September. That's what that gets me going, man. Golly, that I just love that. The forecast for Montana is I don't know. I haven't hunted out there a ton, but it looks pretty warm to me, so I guess we'll see what we're getting into, but maybe it's a water hole type deal. I don't remember a ton of water holes there. It was more creeks and streams, but I'm looking forward to it. Hold on, let me just get my frame of mind there. So yeah, guys, sorry I got cut off there, but yeah, Montana, it's looking warm just like anywhere else. So looking forward to it, but unfortunately the forecast there is not much better than what we've talked about in Iowa, Illinois, Kansas, and Georgia. Just warm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be hot. I think we've had an advantage in Kentucky. It's been warm, but it's not been like in the 90s warm.
Yeah,
But you still, I mean, if you can hunt water holes right now, even deer hunting, that's as good as gold, dude.
right. Yeah. Well, I got all those water holes and I put in Illinois, so that is one good thing. If it does stay dry, I can hunt over water. But no deer moved in Georgia night. We looked at all those cameras, and there was a mature buck in daylight. Seems like last night we had a handful of cameras that had, mature deer on them. And, when I say mature deer in Georgia, it may be a, 115-inch deer, but he's an old deer that needs to die.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to shoot him. I
Yeah.
haven't looked at cameras anywhere else. You look at cameras in Kentucky tonight?
Nah, they haven't really been moving tonight. I mean, really, the last few days just hot and dry, man. Hot and dry. I know Jay's hunting
Seems
one down
like,
on the river that's showing up in the mornings because I'm guessing it's cooler in the mornings,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's that dangerous situation we discussed. Do you really want to go in the early season in the morning and hunt a
Well, didn't
deer?
he say he's spending the night in his blind tomorrow night? Which that dude's crazy, anyhow.
Oh, dude, he's so mad at that deer. Opening weekend we had that epic weather front.
Yeah.
He gets in there the first evening, hour and a half before dark. They come down and start spraying the fields.
Oh, of course. So he's on the river bottom barn.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
evening gets in there, hour and a half before dark. They come down and start mowing. So like 2 nights in a row, but that deer for some reason doesn't show up consistently in the evenings, but he shows up consistently in the mornings. He said, "That's it. I've had it. That deer's probably going to move out here in a week or two. I'm going down Wednesday evening. I'm gonna hunt Wednesday evening. I'm gonna shut the windows in that blind, and I'm just gonna sleep in that joker and wake up in the morning and hopefully kill him that morning,
Well,
because that's the only way you can get in there."
is he gonna take like dinner or snacks or
I'm guessing he's like, dude, they can't hear you in that thing. You put the blinds on those windows, they can't see it. So I think he's got a little fan he's going to use to keep cool and sit there and watch YouTube on his phone all night, I
he better
guess.
take a battery pack and some snacks, man.
Oh yeah,
So but he's gonna hunt that evening. Like he may come in
yeah,
tomorrow evening and whack him then, but probably
yeah,
not.
yeah. But if he doesn't come in tomorrow evening, he's not getting out of the blind until next day at lunch.
That's kind of what you were thinking about doing last year.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was highly considering it.
yeah. Well, maybe he gets one, man. That'd make for a heck of a story. Not many people spend the night in a blind, but I guess if you were going to do it in a blind with windows, I mean, there's no way I'd spend the night, you know, windows open or something. Get not this time of year, not in the South, man. Mosquitoes and all that. Jeez.
Nah, he's gonna shut him up because I mean he's down in the bottom. His wind will be swirling all night. So
Oh, yes, he's gonna just keep them shut.
yep, just close them up. And I said, good luck. I said, how you gonna wake up on time? That's what I want to know. I mean, it's not like you don't want to set an alarm.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can set on vibrate, I guess.
Yeah, but what if it falls out on the floor and it starts vibrating and that whole
Oh.
plastic blind starts zzz,
So is
zzz.
that deer there when like it gets daylight?
Oh
He's
yeah,
like, oh, so he's gonna be like waiting for it to get daylight to make the
yeah.
shot.
The last 2 mornings he's been there the first hour of daylight.
So like,
He's done that all summer. That deer has.
yeah, that's a pretty good plan, then, man. That's a pretty good story. Everybody likes a good story, and I'm pulling for him.
He's nuts.
Yeah, maybe that'll work. But so that's kind of going against the grain. But yeah, I love hunting mornings this time of year if it's the right spot, and I have a good spot. The sawtooths are falling like crazy. I need to send you that video, man. The sawtooths on our farm, there's thousands of them on the ground. And where they're at, I can get in there in the main event, and the wind's perfect with this east wind to hunt them coming back in the morning. But it's like, do I go in there and shoot does, or one of those bucks I'm after is probably not going to come through there, but that's just not where they're living. But I
You
don't know.
never
Might
know.
slip in there. Might slip in there Thursday morning. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, you got any predictions for any other states? I mean, hot and dry is pretty much going to be the standard blanket statement for all of them, I think,
Yeah, but
unfortunately, right now.
well, not in those states I'm familiar with is about to open up until the first. We got so many of the Midwest states open up in the first. I had one guy today ask me, talking about winds and stuff in the South. He said, what's the biggest difference? Or are the deer in the South harder to kill than the ones up in the Midwest? Because he was from the South, and he's probably wanting me to say, yeah, they're tougher to kill in the South, and yeah, they are. But mainly, yes, the deer are a little more aware in the South. But a pressure deer is a pressure deer. I don't care where he's at. But in the South, you never get like what y'all had opening weekend. Those 10-mile-an-hour consistent wind. You just don't get it. It's always 3 to 4, and it just you never know. It can be saying it's from the Northeast, but it's not. I've always looked at in the Georgia, kind of down here in the armpit of the Southeast region, and you got an ocean on both sides of you, so it's just trade winds blowing, and nothing's consistent. And the closer you get down south to the coast, the worse it gets. So
Yeah.
for all those hunting south, good luck this weekend because the forecast looks tough.
Yep.
First couple of days you can whack one, you got a deer, especially in Georgia being a feed state. A lot of people, shooting that deer that's been, hey, it's legal, nothing wrong with it. I had some big time out when I shot my buck, so just to kind of get into that side of the field. But if a lot of deer die that opening weekend, and then once they start feeling pressured, good Lord, a lot of them are gone to the rut. I'll see you in November the 10th type
Yep.
deal.
Yeah. So you talk about winds in the South. You were mentioning draws in Kentucky. That's like when I go to other states, I'm like, sometimes I get lost. I'm like, ah. So how do you hunt winds here? Because I'm just used to looking at how my wind's going to fall up and down these big hills and these hollers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we dealt, you always deal with thermals rising, but man, and thermals fall in the evening. I know that's what happens, but when you get in that topo like that, man, you just start to see it so much more because, we got topo in Illinois, but I feel like we always got a consistent wind there that's going to, you know, counterbalance or counteract the wind falling down in the evenings, unless it just dies. But just felt like we haven't had to deal with that as much. But I seen it firsthand in Kentucky, man. Those way it was sucking down those draws was as tough as anything I've ever dealt with in Georgia.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, I think that's your forecast, ladies and gentlemen. Hot and dry. Hunt the
I,
water and don't pressure your big deer too early, is what I'm
I
going to
wish
tell
we
you.
had better news on what you could do to kill one these next few days, but pray for rain. If you get rain or it's going to rain, get out in the tree, get in the woods that afternoon. Or if it rains the next day, man, them deer are going to be giddy. They're going to be out celebrating that moisture that we all need, that blessing from the sky.
Yep. And if you're afraid of pressuring a deer, find something else productive to do. Top dress your food plots.
Go watch the Reds choke away the wild card, right?
Oh, they just did it again. 3-0
They
tonight.
lost
They lost.
tonight.
Yep.
My gosh, dude, it's bad enough my Braves suck, but now, yeah, I mean, they keep doing. They're not even gonna make the playoffs at this point.
No, the
And
Reds are giving them or the Mets were giving them a gift, like
they
eight
was,
straight losses, and then just
yeah, they're like, here, 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 take it, and they
yeah,
couldn't even
it's
take it.
all yours. Now they got two other teams in front of them,
Mhm. Oh yeah, now the Diamondbacks they got
and the
hot. I saw.
Giants.
Yeah,
And the Diamondbacks were a seller at the deadline.
yeah, I know they traded Suarez and all those guys. They got a good group of guys though. But I
Yeah.
was kind of pulling for the Reds because you took me to the batting practice experience and all that. Got to meet some of the players. I'm like, I can get behind them October if Braves ain't gonna be there. But now it's gonna take an absolute miracle for them to make it.
You know what? That's why I said I like deer hunting. At least I semi-control my own destiny.
Oh yeah, when you're just a fan, man. Yeah, like here it was like college football memes. You see, oh yeah, signing up today to get ready for some 18-year-old kids to run my Saturday because that's what's going to happen.
Pretty much.
Can't control it, not one bit.
Nope.
Well, you and I were talking about before the podcast here, when's the best time to take off, when we're going to hunt in November and all that. I know a lot of people are starting to have to put in for their PTO days and all that. So we probably need to get together in the next week or so and come up with when we think is going to be the best time to hunt in November based off, the variety of factors that influence the whitetail deer. So
That's a good way to put it.
a lot of opinions on what affects them too.
That's it. Opinions. That's a good word.
Yeah, because that's all we're going to give is an opinion on what I would do.
Yeah.
I'm always going to stick to the days on the calendar. I'll deal with the rest of it as it happens. Can't control that.
Amen.
All right, bud.
Sounds
See y'all
good.
next week.
See
Signing
y'all
off.
next week.
Deer Camp with the Lindseys. We out.